These selections are in relation to my practice at Asia Art Activism, but also, of course, we've got the Kettle here, which is an amazing location, making new worlds. This particular exhibition, I think the reason why I think it has really resonated for me is trying to find these connections between what I have come to think of as our cultural ancestors. For many of us as migrants, we try to locate ourselves, our urges, our desires in creative practice in relation to what has gone before. And it's not always very easy to join the dots. So, it's been such a pleasure, like learning about Li Yuan-Chia's work, finding, so many meaningful connections between his LYC Museum and the kind of work that we try to do in collective practice these days, some of the similar struggles even. But also at the same time, I think the difficulty of a migrant finding refuge in a new place, that's something that resonates, like what causes migrations. There are multiple reasons, but we live in a time when there are geopolitical conditions that caused mass migrations. And it's worth reflecting on what does that mean, especially in a place here where we are so fortunate to enjoy the historical legacy of Eid House, and what that means, and what it means for those who are displaced currently. So this is also an opportunity to let some of these voices resonate together. So if anyone would like to do some reading, let me know. I'll hand out some of the stuff, but I'll start off with a segment from a piece here. This is a lovely text, a segment from Friendship as Method by Amy Tobin, who is one of the co-curators of this wonderful show. The LYC Museum is me. It is now open. Much work remains to be done, but will it ever get done? Meanwhile, it invites you. This is Lee's introduction to the LYC Museum and Art Gallery in the preliminary pages of the first publication he produced from Banks in 1972. With this opening, he draws our attention to the curious simultaneity that the museum was both him, bearing his initials, and much more than him. As he says elsewhere of the labor it took to transform the neglected farmhouse, I am glad I did it myself. If you have money, you may have a free hand, or you may not. When a man must do everything himself, he finds he has a power to reach beyond the limits of himself. By making himself into a museum, Lee was expanding his practice in order to transcend any sense of singular selfhood, of static identity. More prosaically, this experiment in placemaking, he speaks of the LYC as a tourist spot, offered Lee a place to live and work after a young life spent on the move. Describing his experience of the first weeks of being open to the public, he writes, "As one visitor leaves, another arrives, and I really feel the museum is going well. I give thanks to all the museum's dear friends. The LYC Museum is me. LYC Museum is all of you. LYC will not charge entrance. LYC Museum would like to show you works. Do come in and look around." Lee's invocation to come in and look around echoes the words of Jim Eade, who implored visitors to Kettle's yard, "Do come in as often as you like. The place is only alive when used." For Eade, Kettle's yard was a living place apart from the austerity of museums and galleries, comprising a collection that was activated by visitors moving through the space and interacting. He had learned of this mode of looking from Winifred Nicholson and Ben Nicholson, describing how they compared the traffic around London's bustling Piccadilly Circus to ballet, and the volleys of a tennis game to Renaissance painting. This was a vital way of looking at artworks, not as static objects, but suffused with the patterns and connections of everyday life. It was a lesson Eade learned well, which animated Kettle's Yard, where that is contained in one work, ramifies amongst others with the stray objects, shells, stones, goblets, pots, tables, and chairs, making each up mise en scène. This space was a means of communicating the beauty and wonder of the world found in art and nature to small groups of visitors. Guests were usually limited to students at the University of Cambridge, who between 1958 and 1974 could visit Kettle's yard every afternoon in term time, beginning with a tour and ending with tea and conversation. And although Li and Eid never met or took up their mutual open invitations, they shared in the possibilities of hospitality for remaking art's place in the world. They were both committed to creating spaces animated by people in which art moved and was moving. And I guess that leads me to this other poem by Hiba Abu Nada, who sadly passed away recently. I grant you refuge in invocation and prayer. I bless the neighborhood and the minaret to guard them from the rocket, from the moment. It is a general's command until it becomes a raid. I grant you and the little ones refuge. The little ones who change the rocket's course before it lands with its smiles. I grant you and the little ones refuge. The little ones now asleep like the chicks in a nest. They don't walk in their sleep towards dreams. They know death lurks outside the house. Their mother's tears are now doves following them, trailing behind every coffin. I grant the father refuge, the little one's father who holds the house upright. When it tilts after the bombs, he implores the moment of death, have mercy, spare me a little while. For their death, I learned to love my life. Grant them a death as beautiful as they are. I grant you refuge from hurt and death, refuge in the glory of our siege, here in the belly of the whale. Our streets exalt God with every bomb. They pray for the mosques and houses, and every time the bombings begin in the north, our supplications rise in the south. I grant you refuge from hurt and suffering. With words of sacred scripture, I shield the oranges from the sting of phosphorus and the shades of cloud from the smog. I grant you refuge in knowing that the dust will clear, and they who fell in love and died together will one day laugh.
From the book Boring Donkey Songs, a collection of poetry by the Singaporean artist Li Yuan, from September 2015, which was the month I first came to the UK, untitled. In my dream, I was looking into your eyes. In my dream, you were looking into my eyes. In my dream, I was talking to you. In my dream, you were talking to me. In my dream, I was listening to you. In my dream, you were listening to me. In my dream, I was walking next to you. In my dream, you were walking next to me.
Hello, this is a poem called To My Mother by Mahmoud Darwish. Dearly I yearn for my mother's bread, my mother's coffee, mother's brushing touch. Childhood is raised in me, day upon day in me. And I so cherish life, because if I died, my mother's tears would shame me. Set me, if I return one day, as a shawl on your eyelashes. Let your hands spread grass out over my bones. Christened by your immaculate footsteps, fasten us with a lock of hair, with thread strung from the back of your dress. I could become a god. A god is what I'd be, if I but touch your heart's deep breath. Set me, if ever I return, in your oven as fuel to help you cook. on your roof as a clothesline stretched in your hands. Weak without your daily prayers, I can no longer stand. I am old. Give me back the stars of childhood, that I may chart a homeward quest. Back with the migrant birds, back to your awaiting nest.
It's untitled by Li Yuan. Early and strolling, easy. No funny walking. No wheelchair wheeling. In between puff frogs croaking. Back to normal. Thankfully, bored again.
What is home? Is it the shade of the trees on my way to school before they were uprooted? It is my grandparents' black and white wedding photo before the walls crumbled. It is my uncle's prayer rug where dozens of ants slept on wintry nights, or it was bombed, looted, and put in a museum. It is the oven my mother used to bake bread and roast chicken before a bomb reduced our houses to ashes. It is the cafe where I watch football matches and play. My child stops me. Can a four-letter word hold all of this?
I am a dreamer, but not to escape. No, dreams or questions like prayers sung to petition the status quo and other adjuncts.
This is We Love What We Have by Mosab Abu Toha. We love what we have, no matter how little, because if we don't, everything will be gone. If we don't, we will no longer exist, since there is nothing here for us to stay for. What's here is something that we are still building. It's something we cannot see yet because we are a part of it. Someday soon, this building will stand on its own, while we will be the trees that protect it from the fierce wind, the trees that will give shade to sleeping children inside or playing on the swings. Pushing, pushing, pushing. On the road, on the street, on the path, in the city, London, pushing, pushing, pushing. Never stops, never changes, never turn left or right, in the anywhere, pushing, pushing, pushing. This is my life. This is my job. This is the God gift in front, limitless road to go before I rest.
Is my practice of ancestry, of imagining beyond myself, for the same imperial complex that has hurt us here and here and here and here. Same, but different.
And this is an excerpt from a poem from a colleague of mine, who is also a migrant artist, who works with us in many projects, especially also under AAA, Asia Art Activism. Wrestling Blues by Yali Allison. Evidently the fight is near. Ambushes from all sides. People need support, but my brain cannot come up with anything. The images keep recurring, even if they have been looping they free my mind again and again. These same desires can be reused once again by adding new elements, circulating continuously. Chokes and chokes, sometimes suffocating, sometimes breathing smoothly, as if drowning. In the past, when the sadness is triggered, other than having an orgasm myself, to stop my obsessive mind from spinning too fast, I would fantasize how intoxicating that would feel if I were to kill myself, and fantasize myself killing my own body. It's the way out. And it's a masturbating thought that confuses my mind. This snap thought has infinitely become my survival state, which has stimulated my desire to keep on surviving. I come to realize the most painful thing is that even with the reflection of self-harm or death, would not help one to be liberated. And this was written as a commission for the AA publication, and it was written as a very heartfelt poem about the precarity and struggle of young artists working in London, and some of the challenges it comes with also being away from family in a very sort of fast-paced cosmopolis. And this is Let It Be a Tale by Refaat Alareer. If I must die, you must live to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings. Make it white with a long tail, so that a child somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment an angel is there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope. Let it be a tale. Ceasefire now. Thank you so much.